Hey guys, welcome back to Social Sciences Junction. Dear friends, we are trying our best each day to bring to you all possible and relevant information regarding competitive examinations in India. As ours is a very new channel, we request you to kindly subscribe to our channel and motivate and inspire us to bring even better content each day. This video that we are doing today will provide you with some tips and tricks about how to read newspapers for competitive examinations. Let's first look into the importance of reading newspapers. There are lots of it, of course, but we will focus on some of them. First, it's the best source for current affairs. Yes, dear friends, you might very well go to buy all those weekly and monthly magazines and journals that come up in the market for current affairs. But trust me, the importance of newspapers is unparalleled in all aspects. The depth and the width of information that you come across while reading a newspaper is unparalleled with any other source of current affairs. So please make it a habit to read newspaper each day. Next is for the preparation of your optional subjects and general studies for your mains. Because this part of the examination is descriptive in nature and your possibility of getting selected depends on the answers that you write, it is very essential for you to have a good stock of information to feed into your answers. And from newspapers which you read every day, you will get a very crucial amount of fodder to fill in your answers in the mains part of the examination. Then it definitely broadens your perspective. It provides you information about things that are going on across the or say around the globe, and it helps you develop your own opinions in many ways. So it is very essential to read newspapers so as to broaden your perspective, broaden your scope of knowledge. Then it is also helpful for the interview part of your examination. Questions that are mostly asked to you in this part of the examination depends upon your specific profile. That is the place you come from, the educational qualification you have, the work experience you have. So it is very essential to read newspapers and pick up all those elements of information which concerns or which falls in the spectrum or say sphere of your personal profile. Say for instance, if you come from a particular place, say for instance Nalbari, you need to follow the newspaper and pick up those important information regarding Nalbari if it comes up at any time across the year of your preparation. Let's look into some more specificities of newspapers. So which newspaper and how many newspapers? Dear friends, what we have seen in terms of preparation for competitive examinations these days, that there has been a trend to read one particular newspaper, The Hindu. So dear friends, we are not arguing that The Hindu is not relevant or any other newspaper is not relevant. What we are trying to say here is that in case you are not accessible to The Hindu, please do not feel that you are lagging behind other aspirants or you might not score well or you might not clear the examination. Please keep it in mind, all you need to do is read any national daily regularly. Please do not get obsessed with one particular name and do not consider yourself to be lagging behind if you can in any ways not access to that particular name which most of the people in the market are obsessed with. The idea is to read any national daily regularly. So how many newspapers? You will find people who will suggest you to read 2 newspapers each day, including one national daily and one daily for economic affairs, say for instance the Economic Times. What I argue here is that you should read at least one newspaper thoroughly, and if time permits you, you can go on to read 2, 3, 10, 20, how many newspapers you want. Third, one regional newspaper is very essential if you are aspiring for examinations of any particular state. Say for instance, if you are aspiring for the combined civil services examinations of the APSC, make sure you need one newspaper from Assam. Any language it may be, but we suggest you to kindly focus on English language newspapers because it helps you in scoring well in your English compulsory paper in mains examination. Then, as you have already said, you can read more newspapers if and only if time permits you. Some more important tips about newspapers. First, tracing pattern. Yes, dear friends, every newspaper in the market has a particular pattern of itself. The way in which the informations are placed in different pages of the newspaper, the language of the newspaper, and so on and so forth. So the first thing before picking up one newspaper is to know the pattern of that particular newspaper. Which of the pages are relevant for you, which are not relevant for you. You need to have a fair and rough idea about this particular thing. And one more point which we'd like to suggest to you is that please do not keep changing the newspapers which you read. No matter which newspaper you read, either it be Hindu, Indian Express, Hindustan Times, whatever, but try to stick to that one particular newspaper for a considerable number of months, because each newspaper has a different pattern in some way or other, and it leads to difficulties in maintaining the consistency if you keep changing the newspapers. Second important thing is note making. Yes, dear friends, we have been talking about this in all of our videos, all of our lectures. The most essential thing about reading newspaper is making notes. It is almost impossible for us humans to remember everything that we come across each day. So note making is very essential for current affairs and also for descriptive answers in the mains part of the examination. Third is consistency, which I have already talked about. Please stick to a particular newspaper for some time and please be consistent. Do find time regularly, daily, to read newspapers. Fourth, not more than 1 hour. Yes, dear friends, please do not go on doing a PhD in the newspaper which you read each day. The maximum time you should allot for reading a newspaper is 1 hour or 1 hour 15 minutes. Initially, when you start reading newspapers, you might need more time to cover up the newspaper, but if you keep practicing it daily, if you keep practicing it regularly, in a very short period of time you will be able to cover the entire newspaper in say 1 hour or 45 minutes. Next, what to read in the newspapers. Dear friends, what we are talking about here is the national daily which you will read every day, because we are not talking about regional newspapers, because every state has different newspapers with different patterns of information. What we are talking now is the basic newspaper national daily which you will read every day. In this national daily, one essential thing which you should read every day is the editorials for sure, because the editorials in these popular national dailies are mostly based on current affairs, the current events that are happening in India or internationally are the topics that are covered in the editorial part. So reading the editorials will give you an information about what is happening around the world, and it will help you shape opinions about particular events and particular incidents of your own. Then you need to follow government schemes and budgets that you come across in the newspapers. While reading about government schemes, do try to focus on the ministry or department that is the nodal agency of that particular scheme, the fund allocation for that particular scheme, the center state allocation of funds in that particular scheme, the environmental aspects to that particular scheme, if any. So these are some of the things which you need to read between the lines, and not just confine yourself to the information, the numbers that are provided in the newspaper. Then nature and environment. Yes, dear friends, these days it is becoming very, very popular that questions from nature and environment are almost regularly asked in UPSC examinations and other state civil services examinations. So do keep a track of the new biosphere reserves, new wetlands, the Ramsar commissions, Ramsar sites, etc. Whatever comes up regarding nature and environment, do keep a track of that and do keep making notes. Government advertisements. Yes, you will occasionally come across those full-page government advertisements, which are also important because they provide an information of the government schemes that have been taken up so far, and this will be an important important source of objective information regarding government schemes. Then international summits, of course, world elections. World elections, you do not need to focus on all the say 198 or 200 whatever countries in this world. You need to focus on the superpowers, the great powers, the bigger countries. Say for instance, an election comes up in Russia, you need to know which party Vladimir Putin comes from, or how was the election scenario in his time of election. Then bilateral and multilateral relations of India. Every time and again you will find your Prime Minister going and visiting some country, your Foreign Minister, Foreign Secretary going and visiting some country, and the foreign counterparts coming to India similarly. So you need to keep a track of them, the important decisions, the memorandum of undertakings that are signed in these events and these multilateral summits. Then the events of current world events. Say for instance, you need to have a basic understanding and a basic level of opinion and information about the things that are happening across the globe. Say for instance, the nuclear tests of North Korea, the coming to power of Donald Trump, and the subsequent change in the global order that has come up recently. All those things we need to have some basic understanding about. You need to have some basic understanding about. Then of course there are events of national events which are coming up, which you will find ubiquitously across the newspaper each day. Then there are persons in news. Say for instance, persons in news, you do not need to know what Mr. XYZ, the MP of XYZ constituency, has done or said in parliament. All you need to know in persons in news are the great achievements that have come across, that the people come across. Say for instance, recently in news there was Hima Das. So you need to know about Hima Das, what she has achieved, how she has achieved, in which platforms she has performed herself. Then recently there was an award accorded to Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab. So you need to have an information about these awards and these accolades that people achieve. Then what not to read? Yes, dear friends, the most essential thing about newspapers is what not to read. So please do not go on reading those city news. Say for instance, the city edition of the newspaper which you are reading. Say for instance, if you are reading the New Delhi edition of the Indian Express, you do not need to focus on what's happening. The child that was kidnapped from Mayur Vihar, or the police inspector that was suspended from duty in say Janakpuri police station or whatever. So you do not need to focus on city specific news. Then you do not of course need to focus on who said what in parliament. Then you do not need to focus on temporary figures. Yes, dear friends, there are many temporary figures which you come across in newspapers. Say for instance, a particular estimate for coming quarter, which is of course, and which is obvious to change in the next quarter. So you do not need to focus too much on these temporary figures. Then Bollywood love affairs of course are of no use to you, so you can straightway skip that particular page on the newspaper. Then you do not need to have information about which new mobile phone has been launched by which company in at what price. However, some important things about these may be the use of smartphones in our generation, the use of smartphone and social media. These are some of the things which are related with this, on which you might try to gather some opinion, but you do not need to remember particular facts regarding which mobile has come up at what price in which state. Then you don't need to read about campaigns of political parties or advertisements of particular political parties. We have already mentioned you can very well read the advertisements of the government in which you do not find a mention of any political party. Say for instance, which is not a pamphlet of any particular party, but a pamphlet of the achievements of the government. So friends, this was pretty much it about reading newspapers. I hope this is helpful for you. If you need some more information on newspapers, kindly comment down below and let us know how we can help you with it. We will definitely try to come up with lectures to solve or to answer your queries. Thank you so much for viewing this video. Kindly subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. Do like this video and share it with your friends and near and dear ones who you feel will be benefited by this. Hoping to see you in the next video. Goodbye.